Hey guys, I am Colin. A lot of you know me. A lot of you actually know me. My story is a little bit different. This is actually the second time I've told this complete story. The first time I told this complete story was last night. First, a little background. I'm 20 years old. I turned 20 Tuesday, April 5th. And I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about my birthday. But it's not the birthday in the traditional sense. My birthday that I'm going to tell you guys about is August 22nd, 2010. And a lot of you might not recognize that date, but it was the day of the first 203 of this year. I guess I need to go a little bit back further than that to my birthday in 2008. April 12th, 2008, I was arrested for domestic violence against my father. And it was the culmination of years of abuse at the hands of my father. Not of me, I was never abused, but it was the culmination of years of drug abuse by him. He had been addicted to prescription painkillers for as long as I can remember, and it was just a part of my life, you know. And that day, I live with my grandparents, me and my mom do, and he stays with us during the winter when they're down in Florida. And April 12th, I just gotten back from my cousin's quinceañera practice. And I had decided to, you know, I was gonna go to my cousin's quinceañera. For those of you who don't know, isn't quinceañera 15?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. It was her celebration for her 15th birthday, and she lives out in Lapeer, and I just come back from practice. And for those of you who don't know, I'm also an insomniac. I don't sleep that much. And I was having trouble sleeping, but I knew I needed to get some sleep for that night. And my mom and my dad were arguing because my dad was high, and he was not helping clean up the house at all. I came out of my room to tell them to please quiet down so I could get some sleep. It was about 6 o'clock in the morning. And my dad came across the room and pushed me up against my door. And I've wanted to be a cop all my life, so the first thing that I thought was defuse the situation. So I pinned him against the wall until my mom could come across or come downstairs and separate us. At that point, I decided that I wanted him out of the house. I was tired of it. I wanted him out of the house. So at that point, I called the police. Well, when the police got there, they decided that because I had come out of my room, I was the aggressor, and in domestic violence situations, somebody has to go to jail for at least 24 hours. And they picked me. I was arrested, processed at Grand Blanc Township Police Station, taken into Genesee County Jail, and spent 24 hours in the jail. That was probably the single most life-changing experience I've ever had. Because it was that moment that my mom and my dad finally filed for divorce after over 20 years together. It was at that point that something that had been building in me for a long time snapped. 2 months before that, I left Holy Redeemer's Youth Group. And the decision, even though my own, and a terrible decision, was one that had weakened my faith quite a bit. By the end of April 2008, I could honestly say that I did not believe in God anymore. And that's only the second time I've ever admitted that. For nearly 2 years, the extent of my faith life consisted of, you know, I was in a band called Oracle. Some of you know it. One of you was actually in it, or three of you. I'm sorry. It consisted of playing with Oracle and occasionally going to mass with them. But it was my whole thinking was that at the time that I needed God most, He had abandoned me, and I could not believe in a God that would abandon somebody when He needed them, or when they needed Him. And so when I went to Mass, it was simply a matter of, oh, okay, I'm gonna go and go to Mass, hear a reading. It didn't really mean anything to me. And everything continued downhill from there. It was about that time that the first symptom of what is commonly known as bipolar was starting to appear. I would go through massive stages of depression and mania, and that actually resulted in me not graduating from high school. And as my friend Matt back there will tell you, they tried to get me to come back. I just couldn't do it. At the time when I needed to be in school, I was pretty much in my room all day doing nothing because I didn't feel like I could get out of bed. Then, in March of 2009, my parents' divorce was finalized, and I turned 18 a couple days after that. And it was at that point that I started to realize that my dad was making an effort to change. He went through probably the most self-destructive phase after the whole divorce papers went through and I was arrested. I didn't talk to him for about 3 months. And even when I did talk to him, it was because I had to, because it was like Father's Day and he's still my father. But in April, I realized that he had made a change. And that he had something more to offer than just the drug-addicted father I had known for my entire life. So I let my dad back into my life, which was probably one of the best choices I'd ever made, because he truly changed. But the biggest problem was that I still could not reconcile with God. Because I still felt that he had abandoned me. Then, in December of 2009/January of 2010, my friend Matt back there, Jonathan, and Tyler later, we formed a new band called The Third Horizon, and that one was a lot more overtly Christian than Oracle had been. And I had really started to actually read more about God, and I realized that the God that I thought I knew was not the God that he actually is. What had gotten stuck in my head is that he had abandoned me. In truth what had happened is I had run from him because I didn't think I needed him. And more importantly, I didn't think he could love someone like me. And then, that was around the time when I started to realize that our God is not just somebody who loves everybody, our God is love. His love never fades, his love never dies, and he had been chasing after me for those 2 entire years. And I realized that August 22nd of last year. That was the day of the first 203. I was talking to Amber, and I was talking about possibly coming back to the church. But I didn't know how, because I had left Holy Redeemer, and I thought I had burned a bridge there. But it was my fault. And, it was at that point that Amber told me that Dan was the new youth minister at Holy Redeemer. And Dan was standing about 5 feet away at that point in time. And then I realized something. That it was almost like God, I heard this voice in my head saying, hey, go ask Dan if you can help. And so I did, and then the next day Dan told me that, he would want me to help with the youth group, and I came in and helped. But August 22nd, I went home and opened up this really old briefcase that I had never opened since I left youth group. When I opened it, I found a sheet of paper in there. We used to plan youth group meetings on a regular sheet, but this one had a date on it. It was April 5th, 2006, which is obviously my 15th birthday. And it was the year after I joined youth group and I was on team. and we were welcoming the 8th graders into the youth group. I spent the rest of that night pretty much somewhere between tears and prayer and just holy crap, because I realized something, that was like my second birthday. I know that the term born again Catholic is kind of odd to us, but I really think that that's what happened, you know. And then I realized that everything had happened from before I even decided to leave the youth group and before I had abandoned God, that he had been chasing after me. In fall of 2007, I met two of my really close friends, Matt and our friend Brian. And honestly, if it weren't for Matt back there, I wouldn't be standing in front of you guys right now, because Matt asked me, at the behest of Dan, to see if I would help with sound for 203. And that was the first 203 is where I realized that he had been chasing after me. And a song that has really grown to mean a lot to me is Alive Again by Matt Maher. Because I sat down, I opened up my computer and hit play without even really realizing what it was. And Alive Again started playing that night. And it was just like, it was like mysterious and awesome, and I realized that God has a plan for me, and that I'm only beginning it. And right now, I can't imagine what I'd do right now if it weren't for youth group. I love helping out, and I love seeing what God has in store for me. But you know, just if you ever, and this is the thing, is that if you ever feel like you're losing God, he's chasing after you. Let him catch you, because he will. He'll catch you if you're falling. He'll catch you if you're running. He'll catch you if you're, I don't know, blowing up. I don't know. But overall, he will catch you, no matter what, because that is the true definition of our God, is love, and he loves each and every one of us. And I know that seems like a really cheesy line. He loves each and every one of us, but it's true, and he'll catch you guys.